So, good day everybody. This is Sir Fercie and we're going to talk about media and information languages. I hope we are all excited to learn about this particular lesson because this is a brand new discovery. We're going to learn a lot of things about how media functions as a language actually, how information, how a message, how a story is being conveyed with the use of different codes, different media channels, okay, different forms. Okay, so we're going to learn about those things. Okay, so as we go on with this lesson about media information languages, we will also tackle about these two important concepts. So we have media codes and media conventions. So these two aspects will also contribute to how media practitioners and networks and directors, film producers convey their stories to their target audiences. So we use codes and we use conventions. But later on, i-discuss natin yan. Okay po, so let's proceed. So now, let's define media language. It says here that media language is the way in which the media text is conveyed to the audience. In other words, media language is actually the process of conveying information, conveying messages to your target audience, whether verbal or non-verbal. If we're going to take the definition of Merriam-Webster dictionary about language, it will, if I could still remember it correctly, Merriam-Webster defined language as a system of words or signs that are used to convey or to express thoughts or feelings to other people. So, I could still remember that definition used the term words and signs to convey what thoughts and feelings to other people. In other words, media language or the language covers almost everything. Every platform, every media, every channel, every tool, every being, every object that conveys messages. Okay? We consider them as language. Now, if we're going to integrate the word media, which talks about the different platforms, diba? Different channels that we use in gathering and sending information. When we say media language, it is about the use of different media platforms, whether it is a non-verbal media platform or verbal media platform, newspaper, television, radio, internet, could be a photo, okay, in conveying different messages or in conveying a message, okay, to a target audience. So that's how we define media language. Okay, it's not just limited to verbal media, just like in newspaper, diba? When we talk about verbal communication, it involves written and oral communication, but media language also involves a non-verbal media. So we have photographs, we have paintings, okay, we have the cinematographies, we have cartoons. So those are examples of non-verbal. And even though they don't use words to convey the message, we can still consider them as media language because that's how media language works. Okay po, so we have types of a media language. It says here that media language is classified into 5 types. We have the visual, something that we can see; the oral, something that we hear; written, something that we can read; verbal, and non-verbal. Okay po. Now, let's proceed to another term which we call the media text. Okay? Pakisabi nga po, media text. Okay, when we say media text, it says here that it is utilized. The word here is utilized to depict any media item. It is the tool that is being used in media language. If we're going to integrate media language into a different concept, we can say that media language is somehow or somewhat similar to a communication process. And if we're going to remember, when we say communication, it is the way of informing a person or the intention of a sender of an information to inform or to send information to his or her receiver. Okay, that's how communication works. Now, it's the same with media language in the sense na media language also involves the process of communicating or conveying information or message to an audience. Okay po, so saan papasok yung media text doon? Where is the media text in media language? If we're going to imagine the communication process, it has four basic elements. Okay, we have the sender, we have the message, we have the channel, and we have the receiver. And it says here in this definition that media text, it is the utilized item or tool to depict any media item. In other words, in that four elements of communication, we can say that the media text is the channel, the one that is being used, the media that is being used, okay, by the sender to communicate the information. So it could be a TV program, it could be photographs, it could be advertisements, it could be films, radio programs, web pages, etc. So that is just an example, an integration of the concept of media language and media text. If we're going to imagine the relationship of media language and media text, the media language is the process of conveying information. Okay po, and the media text, it is the medium. It is the channel that is being used, okay, of media language. Okay, so I have here some examples po of media text. I took some photos from the internet about different characters in a story. So, diba, if we're going to recall the four types of characters of the character theory of Irving Goffman, we have the protagonist, the heterogonist, the bit player, and the fool. However, with these photos po, we will prove that media language is not just about the verbal communication. That media language is also about conveying message through non-verbal media text. So one of the best examples of non-verbal media text po are photographs. The first photo we have here, we can already say na she is a villain. She is an antagonist in the story. Na she has this rude character in her. The way she portray herself in front of the camera, her facial expression, diba? Her look up, the way she dressed herself, and the way the photo is being edited and the color grading is adjusted into black and white. We can already say that there is kind of dark aura, okay, with her. So with that, nasabi na agad natin na ang character niya ay kontrabida. So that's the message, okay? So the same with the other two photos po, the way the photos are edited, the way they gesture themselves, their position, their posture, their stance, and even the objects that they're holding po symbolizes their character. Okay? So this one, the third photo, napaka-obvious po, he's holding a gun. So we can say that this is an action film. Okay, and he is an action star. The way he posture himself in that kind of stance, okay, medyo talagang ma-action. Okay, yung content ng magiging pelikula na to o ng series na to. Okay, and that's true. That's the real message ng mga photos na to. Okay po? So, ganun po ang ibig sabihin ng media language. It's not just about the verbal, but it's also about the non-verbal means of communicating or conveying messages to your target audiences. So, we're done with media language and media text. Punta naman tayo doon sa tinatawag nating codes and conventions. So, we have here codes. By definition po, codes are the systems of signs which create meaning to communicate ideas and impressions for an audience, producers, and other stakeholders. I want you to remember, okay, na since we're talking about non-verbal means of communicating information, ang codes po natin, these are signs. Signs po are non-verbal channels, okay? These are signs with meanings. Ulit po, when we say codes, these are signs with meanings. I want you to take note of that. Po, under ng codes po, I want you to take note, we have this what we call technical codes. Signs with meanings. But when we talk about technical codes, it focuses more on how media frames in visual media are presented. So we have here examples of technical codes: the camera angle, the lens choice, the framing, the shutter speed, the depth of field, lighting and exposure, juxtaposition. So I believe that every one of us are using camera, diba? na once in your life, you held a camera in your hand and took a photo? And you also try to adjust, diba? The brightness, the contrast, the color grading. Okay? You put filter in it. Now, there is a code there. There is a message behind those codes po, technical codes. But among these examples and aspects of technical codes, we are going to touch two aspects of technical codes. We have the camera framing and the camera angle. Okay po, I want you to take note that under technical codes, ang pag-aaralan natin ay yung camera framing at yung camera angle. So I have here examples or representations of, first one, camera framing muna tayo. Okay po, so in camera framing, we have different kinds. We have the extreme long shot. I want you to pay attention on the composition of each photo. For you to easily identify the differences between them, extreme long shot looks like this one. Okay, and the intention here, the message behind this technical codes, since we're talking about science with meanings, technical codes, I could say na based on my experience then and based on the conventions po in filmmaking, extreme long shot is meant to establish the setting or the place or the location of that scene. So in this case, in this shot po, in-establish yung setting, yung beach, yung sea, okay, yung landscape. So that's the intention of extreme long shot. It's more of establishment. Now, long shot, okay, this is the composition of long shot. Most probably, when we say long shot, ito ay nandun na, nakafocus doon sa mismong character ng story. Okay po, na the intention behind long shot is to establish the character. Okay, the whole body of the character, the costume of the character. Okay po, so this is long shot. Unlike with extreme long shot is meant to establish the setting, the place, the location. And with long shot po, it is to establish the character. So ganito po yung composition ng ating long shot. For establishment din siya. Medium shot. Okay? This is the composition of medium shot. Medium shot po, it's either the upper half or the lower half of the body of the character. Okay po? But the intention or the message po of the filmmakers in this kind of framing doon sa character natin is to show their hand gestures while they are speaking or saying their dialogue in that particular scene. The director or the filmmaker or the cinematographer wants to look at how the character will use his hands, okay, his upper or lower half of his or her body, okay, to convey the message. So that's medium shot. Next tayo, medium close-up. Okay? So ganito po yung medium close-up natin. Shoulder, tapos pataas. Okay po. Parang kalahati siya noong medium shot natin. Okay? Half closer. So when we say medium close-up, the intention here is to show the facial expression. The facial expression of the characters. But if we're going to take a look at the next example or the next component, the close-up and the extreme close-up, they are all focused on highlighting the emotions of the characters. But with medium close-up, the intention here was to, yes, to show the emotions, to the facial expression, okay, of the character. But in medium close-up kasi, you can actually put two characters in one frame. So, medium close-up mostly applies to those romantic film productions na kung saan merong intimate conversation yung leading man and leading lady. So, medium close-up po, madalas ginagamit yan ng mga romantic films. So, that's the intention of medium close-up. Okay. With close-up, it is focused on one character alone. Okay po. Mas hina-highlight natin dito yung features ng muka. Okay? Yung facial expression niya. Mas dito nakikita yung pagpatak ng luha, pagtulo ng sipon. Okay po? And most of the time, this is the composition of close-up. Hindi na buo yung ulo or naka-cut out yung head ng character. Okay po, na-crop na siya. The head is cropped, so most of the time that's the composition of the close-up camera framing. Okay, extreme close-up, macro shot. Okay, nakafocus na ito sa isang particular object. Okay po, not just with the parts of the body of a person, pero kasama din dito yung mga, halimbawa, mga flowers, or blood, or shoe, ganyan, extreme close-up, macro shot. Okay? So, we're done with camera framing. Now, let's proceed to the camera angle. So, with camera angle shots po, marami din tayong mga different kinds of camera angle shots, but we're going to discuss only six most common camera angle shots. So, do sa mga mahilig dito gumawa ng films, diba? Yung mahilig dito mag-selfie, mag-take ng pictures, ito po yung mga proper na tawag natin sa mga anggulong ito. Ano po? So, sana, after nitong lesson na to about camera angle, the next time na kayo ay kukuha ng photo ng isang tao or kayo ay magpapakuha ng photo, ganyan, alam na natin yung proper term for those angles. Diba? So, let's start with this one, the bird's eye view. Pakisabi nga po, bird's eye view. So, with bird's eye view, it's very easy to identify the visual of a bird's eye view angle. So, just imagine the perspective of a bird in the sky, overlooking the entire below or environment below. Okay? So, the intention po of a bird's eye view angle, ano yung message na gustong i-imply? Okay? Ano yung intention ng bird's eye view? And so simply establish the place. Magkaroon tayo ng isang malawak na perspective, malawak na vision doon sa lugar na yun. Okay? It's meant for establishment of the setting of the location. Okay, so let's have the next one. I want you to take a look at this photo. This photo represents a high angle shot. Okay? So, if we're going to remember the bird's eye view angle, okay, we can easily identify the difference between the two, the bird's eye view and the high angle shot. We can say now, when we talk about the deepness of the space present in bird's eye view and in high angle, the bird's eye view has more or has deeper space, or yun nga, mas may depth yung photo natin sa bird's eye view. Mas malawak, mas malalim. Unlike with high angle shot, mas mababaw dito. Okay po, in bird's eye view, I just want you to remember, just take the perspective of a bird. Okay, a bird in the sky. And with high angle shot, most probably these are indoor shots. But the perspective is from a high position. Okay po. Now, what is the message? What is the code behind high angle shot? What is the message, okay, behind such code? So, ang intention po ng high angle shot is to impose superiority. So, high angle shots come from the people who are superior. Okay, in this shot po, you will see a child. And the one po na nasa camera, the one who holds the perspective of high angle, the one who's looking in the lens of camera, probably is the one who is more superior than this kid. So that is the code. That is the meaning or the intention behind high angle shot. Now let's have the next one. So for the next one, we have here the eye level shot. Okay, so eye level shot, ganito po yung composition niya. Face to face, shoulder to shoulder, nose to nose. Okay, level. In other words, the intention or the code behind this angle or this code, this technical code, is to show that the leveling, okay, that the equality between the status of the characters, and it is mostly applied for normal conversations, normal dialogues. Okay, eye level shot. The next one, let's have the low angle shot. When we talk about low angle shot, this is the opposite of high angle shot. In other words, the perspective comes from below. and the subject is above you. If the high angle shot impresses superiority, in contrast, the low angle shot impresses minority. Okay po, that you are weak, that you are less powerful. Okay, so that this is the composition of low angle shot. Now, for the next one, we have the worm's eye view. Okay, so you will notice that worm's eye view and low angle shot is almost the same. But one of the outstanding differences po of low angle and worm's eye view is also the depth, the deepness, yung lalim, nung space. Most probably, when we talk about, when we look at a worm's eye view angle, the deepness is greater than the deepness of the low angle shot. Okay po? And also, worm's eye view, it's like burying yourself, okay, in the ground. There are this kind of effects na maglalagay ng lupa doon sa lens ng camera. You will put soil to show that it comes from a perspective of a worm. Okay, so just imagine the perspective of a worm from the ground. Okay po? So, while on low angle shot natin, okay, imagine a man lying down, just lying down. Okay? So, mas deep ang space, mas may malalim na space po ang sa worm's eye view compared sa low angle shot. So for the last camera angle, we have here the oblique or canted. So at first glance, you can already identify what makes it different from other camera angle shots. So with oblique or canted, this is the composition. It's like tilting the camera to impress some kind of motion with the scene. Okay, it's mostly used in sci-fi movies and in fantastical films and productions. Okay, and when things get weird and just the world twisted upside down, so that's how oblique or canted works. Okay, to impress some kind of motion or movement with the scene. So that ends our camera framing and camera angle technical codes. Okay, as we proceed po, we have this additional technical code. Aside from camera framing and camera angle, we have this what we call depth of field. Under depth of field, we have the shallow and the deep depth of field. Now, if I'm going to explain what depth of field is, in layman's term, this is the relationship of spaces in a photograph or in a video. When we say spaces, in photography po, we have two kinds of spaces. We have the foreground and we have the background. And when we say shallow, okay, you can already see, when we say shallow, the camera is focused only on the foreground. Okay po, doon po siya sa foreground. In other words, the camera is focused on the objects that is near to the cameraman or to the viewer. Unlike in deep depth of field po, when we say deep depth of field, okay, the camera is focused both on the foreground and the background. Okay, that's why it's deep, because you can clearly see what goes beyond the monkey, okay, or the stuffed toy. Unlike in shallow deep depth of field, you could only see clearly what's near to you. Okay po, so that's the difference between shallow and deep depth of field. And so for the last slide of this class, okay, of this video, last technical code tayo. We have, after the depth of field, we have camera movements. Okay, so we have six basic kinds of camera movements. We have the pan, we have the tilt, we have the zoom, we have the dolly, we have the handheld, and we have the crane. Okay, so the differences between these camera movements are very easy. I need you to listen. When we say pan, this is a short term for panorama. The camera moves horizontally from a static position. So that definition clearly defines what a panorama is. First, the camera is in static position. Okay, hindi ito gumagalaw. It's not moving. Okay, it's in a static position. Okay, so the camera moves horizontally. it's tilting. Okay? It's not moving. It's only tilting horizontally. Okay po? And number 2, we have the tilt. Okay? So the tilt po, the camera moves vertically from a static position. Okay? So unlike with panorama, instead of horizontal tilting, when we talk about tilt, the camera is tilting vertically from a static position. Okay, I will repeat, the camera is not moving. It's not changing direction or position. It's in a static position, it only tilts. Okay, horizontally or vertically. Okay, number 3, we have the zoom. Zoom po, this is the change of focal length, closer or farther away. The same with panorama or pan or tilt. Zoom po, okay, the camera is in static position. Then you're just going to pinch out or to use your camera to zoom in or to zoom out the object, okay, or your subject. Okay, you're not moving the camera. Okay, the camera is in static position. You're just going to use the functions. Okay, your camera, when you are using a smartphone, diba? The way we zoom our camera is that we pinch out or pinch in the screen para mag-zoom in or mag-zoom out siya. So that's what we mean by zoom. Okay po? So now we have the dolly shot, number 4. This is already the tracking shot. Okay, this is where the camera is already moving, changing tracks, changing position. Okay, camera moves on tracks or wheels to give a smooth movement. And one of the important techniques po na ginagamit ng ating mga cameramen, mga cinematographer natin to avoid shaky shot, okay, is yung gumagamit tayo ng stabilizer or those devices that have wheels, okay, to have a smooth movement or smooth shot with the scene. Okay, so ganun yung dolly kasi gumagalaw ka na dito. Number 5, we have the handheld. With handheld, I want you to remember the key term here is the POV shot. Okay, when we say handheld, this is the point of view or the POV shot. Gives the frame a shaky look. In other words, it's like a normal perspective of a man. Okay, it's like the normal eye. Okay, lens of the eye of a man. Okay, point of view. And okay, for the last one po, we have this what we call crane shot. When we say crane shot, the camera is moved on a device that can move up or down laterally. So I hope you are familiar with the crane machine. In construction sites, diba, we use crane machine to lift up materials or to put them down. Okay, in building structures, high structures, we use cranes. So it's the same with camera craning. So there are, I believe now we already encounter such shots when movies are about to end, diba? Bago mag-closing credit, before closing credits, the shot will start at an eye level shot. Then later on, it will move up laterally. Okay, crane shot yon before the closing credits, before it blacks out. Okay, so that's crane shot. I hope you can imagine, okay, what I'm trying to explain here. So that ends our discussion for today. Okay, so we're going to continue this on our next meeting. So I hope you learned something today po. God bless you. If you have any questions, just comment down below. Okay po. And I'll be back. Since we still have time, I'll be back for our closing prayer.
Audio Jungle.